So back when COVID happened, a lot of PHP meetups sort of ceased existing because, they got out of the rhythm, they got out of the flow. And as part of that, we lost a lot of that connection that we've had over the years. And Chris Morrell has come up with this bright idea to create this thing called PHPX, which is brand new meetups and just kind of get the community back together. So welcome to the show, Chris, and tell us a little bit about this thing you're starting.
Thanks. I'm happy to be here. I don't want to take full credit for it, for sure. I think that, really Joe Tannenbaum is responsible for the PHPX name. And there was really a sort of a community conversation about this idea a little while ago that a bunch of people kind of contributed to. So I definitely, I definitely agree though. Like, way back when, I was pretty involved in a bunch of local meetups. I was involved with the PHP meetup. I was involved with a couple other tech meetups. And I felt like even before COVID, a lot of the meetup culture was kind of going away. I don't know if that was unique to Philadelphia. And I certainly know there are other cities that have had strong meetups, and we have some. But it felt like it was changing. I don't know if it was like a changing of the guard and the new folks weren't quite ready to organize, or I don't know what happened. I know for me, it's like I had kids, I had other things that I needed to do. I was less able to be involved. And it felt like COVID was like the death blow, for anyone else who did still exist, or any meetup that did exist. It felt like that was what put it to an end. There were some meetups that kept on doing online events, and that was fantastic. But for the most part, and so then when when things started to open up and I started to go to Laracons again specifically, I know for myself, I was just like, I can't only have this once a year, like I feel like in a lot of ways, one of the few upsides of COVID for me was I got to connect with this like developer community online in a new way. I think I had to put myself out there to kind of stay sane, and I made some real connections that way. And so Laracon felt less like a big conference and more like a big meetup of a bunch of friends. That was my experience 2 years ago. That was my experience with this one. And so yeah, after that first Laracon US, it just felt like, okay, we need something like this in Philly. And I know Joe was thinking the same thing in New York, and I know a bunch of other people were kind of talking about it. So I started up a group. I can't even remember what we called it. It was just Philadelphia PHP, or I think it was. I think we were talking about making it a little bit more focused on just general open source, not PHP specifically. And we had a couple people. It was the three of us met at a pizza shop. That was our first meeting. And at the same time, Joe started up PHP NYC. And frankly, he just did a better job of promoting it, and and he, his energy was just really right. And so he got that first New York meetup going. And so like I've been able to kind of we've been playing on that energy and the like interest that's come from that. We've had a bunch of people in New York come down to Philly, even Connecticut, and all sorts of, it's surprising how far people have traveled. And then a bunch of Philly people have come up to the New York events. So there's like a little bit of cross-pollination there. And so, yeah, now we're on our third, we just had our third meetup. We went from 3 people in a pizza shop. Well, I guess technically fourth, right? 3 people in a pizza shop to 6 people to, I guess no. And the most recent one was like 22 or something like that. So it's just like, it's starting to snowball. And I know that New York has been doing the same. And it's been awesome. I mean, I could just keep on going, but I feel like I've just been speaking nonstop for 10 minutes. So I'll pause for a moment.
No worries. You know, it's funny because I'm in Charlotte, and we used to have a fairly big PHP meetup group, and it, like you said, it just fizzled out, and like I don't know if it was just like too much headache of planning around it, or you know, if it was once a month, so people just kind of were like overwhelmed. But then I actually met you. We went to the PHP in Spartanburg, not Spartanburg,
Greenville, Upstate
Greenville, yeah,
PHP, yep.
Upstate PHP, which is only like 2 hours from Charlotte, maybe hour and a half. But you know, it was so much fun. It was like I don't remember the meetups being this much fun, and it's definitely something everybody should do, and just you know meet the local community, meet the local developers, because it's
Upstate PHP was such a blast. That was, I mean, they've put on a couple events, but getting to go down there and get to see everybody, it was really fun.
For sure, for sure. So you're this PHPX thing. So Joe Tenenbaum started PHPX NYC, and then you did PHPX Philly, and then now it's sort of catching on. And how many? I think in the last 2 days I've seen 2, 3, 4 more people already starting them in their cities.
It is awesome. It's like all of a sudden everyone who kind of had been thinking about it is coming out of the woodwork. And I think a few people maybe bought domains but weren't sure what they were going to do, if they were going to do it yet. But yeah, I want to say it was Jace Languasco posted something about an Atlanta meetup. And I just replied, hey, if you want, the way I built PHPX Philly is, you know, it's a multi-tenant app. It's ready to like host other meetups, because I've been thinking about this a lot. And you know, he was like, yeah, like I don't want to have to build this site. So and then sort of in reaction to that, Andy Newhouse was like, well, let's add Chicago. And then Ben Holman was like, well, let's add Minneapolis. And so I think that's the list. Yeah, like in the last few days, we've got Atlanta, Chicago, Minneapolis. We also have St. Louis starting up. And then there's the Greenville meetup. There's a really strong meetup run by Ron Northrup in Lexington, Kentucky, the Kentucky PHP users group. So now, you know, I've started to like build out this idea of there's the sort of internal network of PHPX, and then there's sort of the external network of you know, sister organizations. And you know, we're starting to have that conversation about like how do we make this network or this system like a little bit more flexible to support a bunch of different meetups. And I have a lot of ideas there.
Well, I was going to say this is sort of coming at a perfect time, because if I'm not mistaken, like the old like Meetup.com or whatever have recently just like went way up on their pricing and everything, and it's making it sort of expensive just to try to run a meetup. You know, so having some sort of system outside of that would be, you know, super sweet.
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing about Meetup.com is that it was not just a platform for hosting your meetups. It was also a way to let people find meetups, you know. But that has changed. I don't think most people think to go to Meetup.com now. The first like sort of proper PHPX Philly, we have a co-organizer, Andrew Mead, who's hosted the events at his office down in South Philly. And, you know, it was him and me and a couple people we knew, but it was kind of amazing. We just had one complete random stranger walk in who had just found the meetup on meetup.com and came, and they were like just an incredible addition to the group, because, you know, it went from a handful of people who kind of knew each other to like, you know, more of that like meetup feel, which was really fun. So I'm still a little torn on meetup.com, but it is nice to have an option, especially for smaller groups that don't want to pay that fee, for sure.
Right. Yeah. I was going to say, and you've got to be able to add an API so that way I can pull all the future meetups into Laravel News, and then that way I can share them out with the Laravel community. At least I know you're going more generic with like PHP, but I feel like the Laravel ecosystem is big enough to where would help market through all that.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then the other thing is, like, are you thinking? I mean, this is sort of, I know this has all came about in like the last 10 days or something, but are you thinking of like more long-term things, like maybe even like having resources available if you want to start meetups, like a crew of speakers you can like send around that's willing to go anywhere, things like that?
Yeah, that's the dream. I think that organizing a meetup, it can be daunting. You can do it in a pretty low-key way. That's what we do in Philly, and that's kind of how I survive it, because if I tried to do it, quote unquote, the right way, I think that it would just mean that I never scheduled another event. So we kind of just pick a date that seems to work, and maybe someone speaks, maybe it's a show and tell, maybe it's just a social gathering, and I think that's fine. But even that can be a little daunting. And so, yeah, I've been thinking a lot, not just for the past 10 days, but for the last few months as we've been running this meetup, about like, what can we do to make it easier for other groups to sort of learn from the lessons that we've learned, and sort of pool resources around sponsors and around speakers, other things like that. I don't mind. I'm happy to buy a couple pizzas and some drinks and stuff like that. But, I don't want that could be a burden for someone who's running a meetup, or if you have to rent a space or something like that, if there's not a place that can offer space for free. Sponsorship money starts to matter a little bit more. And so I want to find a way to build maybe a directory of companies that are willing to sponsor meetups or offer giveaways or stuff like that, and some resources for meetups to use around organizing and promoting, and even things like, okay, 25 people RSVP'd. How many people are likely to actually show, right? Like that's a calculation that you have to kind of figure out, because it's not 25. And that first meetup where 6 people showed, I walked home with 2.5 whole pizzas, which is fine, but figuring that stuff out, like it doesn't make sense for everyone to do it on their own.
Right. And I was going to say, you kind of touched on that, but like even the sponsorships, like it seems like as a company, it would be much easier just to send a check to, I don't know, PHPX, and then let you just divvy this out to how, whatever meetup needs it, versus, going to each one individually. I could be wrong on that, but that's just where my head goes as a business owner. I'm like, well, if I could just send it to one place and I'm done, seems easier.
Well, there's also, you can also think about it as they can sponsor the group and, potentially get their logo not just on the Philly meetup site, but also on the site, the sites for all the groups at the same time. There's some benefits there. Yeah, I've been looking at, the PHP Foundation uses Open Collective, and Open Collective is a platform for this type of thing, like organizing, fundraising. And the cool thing is they maintain the legal entity, and do some of the governance side of things. So it's potentially a way to have sort of an official entity that could hold some money and distribute some money. And they build in a lot of ways to make that really transparent, which is really cool. And that way, because the thing I don't want to do is I don't want to like just have people send me checks and then like send out Venmos to, I'm not interested in doing that, but I think that there's an opportunity there. I don't know, that's a little daunting, I'm going to be honest. So if someone is listening to this that's like, hey, I love doing that side. You know, I want to get involved, and I would be a good person to do some of the administrative and organizational side of things. Definitely reach out, because I am really interested in seeing it happen. I'm willing to put some personal money into like setting that up if that's necessary, but like I don't know if I can commit the time.
Yeah. That's the enemy of everybody, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, and then I guess so. Most of the PHPX groups so far are sort of northeast central, like located. I guess they're all pretty drivable,
To some
right?
degree.
Except for like Atlanta and upstate. I guess most of them are more directed that way. Is there any reason you see that, or is it just not expanded out west yet?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it just is kind of how it happened to fall. Yeah, if there are folks, if there are folks out there that are interested, like definitely reach out. And even if it's an existing PHP user group or a Laravel meetup or whatever, I'll add you to the externals list. Might as well get everybody in the same place. And yeah, I already have an API that gets a list of the groups. I'll also put together an API that gets a list of the meetups. So then, sites like Laravel News could just list everything at once. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, that would be sweet. I was going to say, as a organizer and as a meetup attendee, what do you think is best? Like an in-depth speaker, or the show and tell stuff, or do you just like a mix of everything?
I think, in my experience so far, and it's relatively limited this time around at least, I think that they draw different groups, and I think that they all have different value. When we had a formal speaker, some people showed up that I had never met that were clearly there because they wanted to do the sort of professional development side of the meetup, and weren't necessarily as interested in the social side. When we had more of an informal thing, that allowed a different kind of conversation to happen, although that happens before and after anyway. But the sort of smaller social meetup, it was really nice to just sit down with people and talk about the the WordPress nonsense, and I can't remember exactly what else was going on then, but so I think that, at least for PHP Philly, and I think this makes sense for a lot of folks, like mixing social, show and tell, and proper presentations is a really good way to sort of connect with a bunch of different people. Another thing that we're talking about doing is a PHP Philly axe throwing get together, or a go-kart racing or rock climbing or whatever, not necessarily official meetup stuff, but just let's get together in different settings and maybe do an escape room together or something like that, or so I think that's interesting. We haven't tried it yet, but I really like the mix, and I think the different types of events meet different types of people in the right way.
Yeah, I actually like that idea, because I remember so we both went to the Upstate PHP meetup back in, it was the 2 ago is the one I went to. It was back in the summer, I think.
Yeah,
but anyway, we all went early and we just had lunch, hung out. I think you actually had a hotel room, so everybody went up there. We just hung out for a little bit, and then we walked over, and it was great, just sort of being away from having to listen to a talk. We were just talking and just becoming friends basically in real life. And then so it's always great to have those outside of just, hey, you have to learn at this meetup thing.
yeah, for sure. I mean, also it's hard to get a speaker for every event. And I know for certain that there are meetups that basically died because the organizer ended up having to speak at all the meetups that they couldn't get a speaker for, and that just became too much of a burden. So I think setting things up in the beginning where it's like we're not going to do that same format every time is definitely a good way to go, and like experiment with different ways of getting together.
Yeah, that's true. What do you think as far as like PHP Philly, some of these other ones? I know Upstate PHP does it quarterly. Are you going to try to do monthly or quarterly, or do you have do you know what's best? I don't know.
I am calling it bi-monthly-ish. I think that probably being on a regular schedule makes a lot of sense, and maybe someday we will. Right now, being a little bit more flexible is just what makes it work for Andrew and myself, and I just think that's just better. But I think excuse me, I think that monthly is hard to pull off. I think quarterly is great. I think for me, bi-monthly feels like a really good cadence because it's a little bit more frequent, but you have enough space and time to figure out each event. I think it also probably depends on like sort of the size of the region, right? If you're in a bigger city, you can probably do more frequent events because even if not everyone shows for each event, like you're good. If you're in a smaller region, you might want to do it more like quarterly because you need to like kind of rely on a core group of people to show, just because there's fewer people around, you know?
Right.
So that probably makes a big impact.
Yes, I love that. I'm very much here for the user group resurgence. I think it's going to be great for the community, great for developers. You know, it's just going to build everybody up in the end if all this kind of works out and people start getting together more often than just big tech conferences, you know, once or twice a year.
Yeah, the tech conferences are awesome. I mean, Laracon is such an incredible event. Laracon US. I'm really excited to see what Laracon EU is like. But you know, there's only so many of those that you can do, and I would like to see these people more often than that.
Yes. Well, the problem I run into at these big conferences is there's just too many people you can't spend a whole lot of time with each individual before the conference is over, and then you're like, oh man, it's like I really wanted to talk to them, but oh well, I missed them.
Yeah, even at 22, I couldn't get to really have a conversation with everybody in the room at the last PHP Philly. It's, you know, if you want to have like real actual conversations with people, there's only so many of those that you can do in a night, right? Like it's just it's really hard.
For sure. Well, Chris, I want to thank you tremendously for, you know, taking time out of your day and telling me all about this new PHP thing that you've been working on, because I keep seeing it all over the Blue Sky feed, which is also making a resurgence, and it's kind of cool to see all this coming together and everybody, you know, being pumped about it. So I'm super excited to see where this goes, you know, the next few months.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait to see you know, another dozen of these pop up over the next couple of months. Let's make it happen.
For sure. And I'll have links to all these in the show notes, links to Chris's socials, so you can reach out to him if you want to start one or have questions or anything like that. But if I didn't leave anything out, and if you want to add anything, go ahead.
No, I mean, the only thing that I would follow that up with is, you know, if you're out there and you're interested in getting together with other people, even if you're not sure about organizing a meetup yourself, I think one of the next things that I want to add to this like PHPX event system is sort of a way to show interest, or like sort of a placeholder type meetup. So, you know, let's set up your city and see if anyone sort of shows up and go from there. So you don't even have to necessarily commit to fully organizing. And again, if you run an existing, you know, PHP user group, a Laravel user group, Meetup, whatever it is, and you want to get added to the list, definitely reach out, because I'd love to get as many of these meetups out there and as much exposure as possible for them.
Sweet. That sounds awesome. Well, thanks again. And man, it was a blast, as always, talking to you, Chris.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.